What if Anakin became a master and had visions of Order 66? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. As Anakin returns to the darkened surface of Umbara, he surveys the site left for him since his return to Coruscant. Though it should be celebratory, as he heard the news that the 501st managed to capture the nearby airbase and help secure the capital, no one feels particularly victorious.
I'm glad to see you, Rex. You too, Fives.
Thank you, General. It's just a shame that a lot of the boys aren't here with us.
I know. What happened here? How could the Umbarans do this?
It wasn't the Umbarans, sir. It was General Krell. He was a traitor working with the Separatists.
What? How could that be?
I'm not too sure either, General. He was saying how he got visions from the Force that the Jedi were going to lose the war.
I'm sorry I couldn't have been here to help you. I had no idea that any of this would happen.
Anakin nods and waves them off. He still can't help but remain curious as to what had happened. He thinks about what he had just heard. Visions from the Force of the Jedi losing. While visions aren't anything new, the clarity is spotty at best, and he wonders if Krell was just misled. He makes his way over to the Jedi Master's quarters and begins sorting through his belongings for any clues. Most of what he finds is useless, but as he prepares to give up and leave, something catches his eye under Krell's bed. He slides his hand underneath the mattress and finds a datapad. When Anakin accesses it, he's greeted by the sight of Krell's journal and begins to sort through it. There are ramblings about his thoughts on the clones, but what catches Anakin's interest is his tone becoming more aggressive, referring to them as corrupted, blighted, and inferior, citing them as spawns of the dark side. Beyond these opinions, Anakin also finds mission logs. Krell grudgingly reports on the bravery and tenacity of the clones, but he also begins to note other things. How they move with almost inhuman disregard for their lives in favor of achieving a mission. When given instructions, they dedicate themselves to accomplishing them, with many of them often using the popular adage, "good soldiers follow orders," to explain their beliefs. He compares them to droids in that regard. One such mission is to a factory that makes machine and droid parts controlled by the Techno Union. The details are unusually spotty, as if this information was erased. All it mentions is that Krell succeeded in destroying the factory, but mentions that he believes the clones might be compromised. Before he can look into it, he's summoned by the Jedi Council.
Apologize, the Council does, for failing to see upon Krell's treason. A dark day it is, when one as respected as him turns to the dark side, especially with the deaths of so many clones.
Thank you, Master Yoda. This news shocked me as well when I learned what happened on Umbara. I will relay your condolences to the 501st. Your 501st unit is why we wish to speak with you. The Council has received their battlefield reports, and given the circumstances they faced, we are impressed that they were able to triumph. Not only did they face serious resistance, they did so with a traitor in their highest midst. Many had deemed this battle unwinnable, and yet they triumphed. Indeed, no one is prouder of them than me.
Spoken to some of the soldiers we have, and said the same thing they have. Creativity and resourcefulness required is to survive this battle. Learn this from you, they all said.
You've brought out the best in these men, just as you do with your Padawan. Despite her young age, Ahsoka is advancing quickly and surpassing many of her peers, all because of your teachings, she claims.
Early it is, but in agreement the Council is. Name you a Jedi Master. We do.
Masters, I'm overwhelmed. This is incredible news. We do not make this decision lightly. With the war raging, the Jedi have suffered considerable additional losses. Many of our best masters have died, or in the case of Prong Krell, fallen. If we are to survive the war, we must replenish our ranks, and as one of our most promising knights, you are among the candidates who we believe can rebuild those ranks. I didn't realize you had so much trust in me. I promise I won't let you down, Masters.
Not a privilege, this is, Skywalker, but a great responsibility. To be a master in the Jedi Order, much is expected from you. Go above and beyond to serve the Order. You must.
I understand, Masters. But if I may make a request, I would like to take some time off to rest and replenish my units. The recent battles have taken a toll on them in more ways than one.
The Jedi Council agrees to this request, allowing them to remain on Coruscant for the time being. While Anakin would normally have spent that time with Padme, Krell's journal continues to nag at the back of his head. Instead, he finds himself retracing Krell's steps and heading to this same factory, which has been long abandoned and left to the sands of time. The walls are scorched from blaster fire, and conveyor belts meant for droid assembly lie dormant, tangled with debris. He makes his way over to the control center, which still bears the scars of battle, but thankfully the main computer remains usable, and he accesses the data logs.
Standard droid production. Chips for battle droids. But why was Krell interested in this place?
He digs deeper into the logs, sifting through corrupted files until he stumbles upon a cryptic note hidden in the code.
Phase 2 prototypes. For organic integration.
Anakin frowns. Organic integration. His mind flashes back to Krell's journal. The clones are compromised. His pulse quickens. Something glints beneath a pile of rubble near the conveyor belts. Anakin moves closer, pushing aside the debris to reveal a burnt-out chip, smaller than the standard droid control units. Anakin picks it up, feeling the cool metal against his skin. The Force hums ominously, vibrating through the tiny device. His grip tightens as he closes his eyes, channeling his focus the way Master Quinlan Voss once demonstrated his tracking skills. With any luck, he learns a bit about the past of these chips. He reaches out to the Force, trying to sense the chip's history. At first, there's nothing but static. Then, a sharp electric jolt shoots through his mind.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Anakin tries to pull away, but the vision tightens its grip. He sees Padme standing on a platform on Mustafar, her face streaked with tears. But he doesn't stop. The vision shifts. Galaxies burn, worlds crumble, and a hooded figure sits on a dark throne, cloaked in black, with the galaxy beneath his iron grip. Anakin gasps, his eyes snapping open as he stumbles backwards. The chip shatters into pieces, its dust particles scattering into the empty factory.
No. That's not me. That's not my future.
But the Force feels different now. Twisted, like it's warning him, or perhaps mocking him. Krell wasn't insane. He saw this coming. Then he hears it. The clank of metal on metal. Anakin's hand instinctively flies to his lightsaber hilt, igniting the blue blade just as he comes face to face with a set of red photoreceptors. From the far end of the room, commando droids emerge. Their black exoskeletons gleam under the flickering factory lights. At least a dozen.
Jedi detected. Eliminate.
They spring into action, blasters firing at once. Anakin deflects the first barrage and then moves aside towards cover. But rather than stand still, the commando droids advance on him, scattering and attacking from various angles. Some even leap up and shoot from the walls or strike behind him. One armed with a vibro sword tries to leap up, but Anakin severs his legs. Another takes aim from behind, but Anakin whirls and deflects his shot, then pulls him towards a third droid. However, by the time they hit the ground, the rest of them are closing in on him. He barely dodges their blades and counters with his own strikes, but for each one that falls, another rushes forward, circling him like a predator. The two droids attack in tandem, their blades moving in a flurry, forcing Anakin to switch from defense to raw aggression. But while he defends against them, he feels a surge of pain in his back as one droid lands a lucky shot. Growling, he pulls the droid forward and uses it as a shield to block the others. He then uses the Force to slam them against the wall. As the attack slackens, more of them begin to fall, though Anakin feels the occasional surge of electricity as their vibroswords cut him. His strikes grow more violent, as he grabs one droid with the Force, crushing it mid-air before hurling its mangled frame into another. The final droid hesitates, its programming unable to process the sheer ferocity of the Jedi before it.
You should have stayed offline.
The droid attempts to retreat, but Anakin hurls his lightsaber into his back. When Anakin returns to Coruscant, he leaves the shuttle looking haggard and scarred. Dark shadows are visible under his eyes as he stumbles out of the shuttle. He steps down, leaning on a crate for support as he looks over at the approaching clones. The weight of this discovery clear on his shoulders as the clones greet him. Captain Rex, flanked by Fives, Tup, and a few other officers. He tells them what he saw in the droid factory, and what he learned from their data logs. Their bodies tense up as they try to take in everything they just learned. Some instinctively rub their temples, as if feeling for the chips inside them. But when Anakin looks over at them, he gives them a serious look.
It's why Krell went mad. I found it in a Techno-Union factory Krell destroyed. It's not just a droid control chip. It's something else.
With all due respect, General, that sounds impossible. I mean, there's no evidence. What you saw
were visions, Rex. From the Force. Don't be so quick to dismiss them.
Still, sir, you have to admit, it is a lot to take in. Especially since we don't have any proof. Sir, maybe that's why Krell hated us. Maybe he saw something in us we couldn't see in ourselves. I don't like to admit it, but maybe that Hutt slime was onto something.
We can't dismiss the possibility, horrifying as it is. That just raises one question. Who is volunteering?
Maybe, maybe not. But there's only one way to find out. Take it out. I volunteer.
Anakin is pleased to hear this, but decides to meet with the Jedi Council first to discuss all that he's learned. This time, he does not hold back any details including his visions, though he removes the details about his involvement. They are all understandably shocked by it, and many question how true this is. That is why Anakin proposes having the chip removed. Many Jedi are reluctant to go through with this plan, saying that if what Anakin is saying is true, then there is no telling what can happen if they remove the chip. For all they know, removing the chip is what activates it. However, Anakin cannot ignore the feeling in his heart. He says that the clones have these chips placed without their knowledge. The clones have served loyally and never once doubted their purpose. But if someone is planning to betray them, then the Jedi must stand with them and help them learn the truth. Soon, Tup finds himself in the Jedi Temple, preparing for the operation.
If there's something wrong with us, General, I want to know.
We all do. And Tup, whatever we find, I want you to know that Krell was wrong. What he did, what he thought of you.
Thank you, sir. See you on the other side.
As the anesthesia kicks in, the med droid lowers the surgical scanner over Tup's head, emitting a soft whir as it scans his brain. Moments later, a faint beep echoes through the room. The image on the screen shows a small foreign object embedded deep in Tup's skull.
Unusual foreign mass detected in the subject's brain. It appears to be a biochip of unknown origin.
The room goes still.
Force. You were right, General.
Anakin exchanges a grim look with the Jedi healers. They proceed with the delicate operation, carefully removing the chip. As they extract it, the chip pulses faintly, revealing etched command codes on its surface. Anakin steps closer, narrowing his eyes as he reads the codes.
Execute Order 66. Under this directive, any Jedi leadership must be executed for treason against the Republic. Any soldier who does not comply with the order will also be executed for treason.
The words hang in the air like a death sentence. The Jedi in the room exchange horrified glances, the weight of the realization sinking in. Anakin's jaw clenches. The visions, the chips, Krell's madness. It's all connected. But this raises another question. Who gave the order? And why? As they look deeper, they find that the Jedi aren't the only ones who are targeted with these secret command codes. They also have commands to deal with the Chancellor, the Senate, and even fugitives. All of this means the clones aren't just meant to stage a coup. They are meant to control an empire, to do whatever it takes to ensure security, regardless of the human cost. That means all of the Republic will be affected by this. The Senate, the Chancellor, and the Jedi Order. They take this information to the Senate, informing them of the chips that were discovered. Like the Jedi, they are all shocked and appalled by what they found. But while everyone is on the verge of panic, the Chancellor remains calm, gesturing for silence as he looks at them.
This is indeed a troubling development. I understand your concerns with these chips, and I have spoken to the Kaminoans about it. And they have said that the specifications of the clone army, including the chips, were implemented by a Jedi Master named Separatists. Unfortunately, this Jedi perished before the war began, which would explain why none of us were informed about this.
This explanation does little to satisfy anyone, but Anakin can see the logic in this.
But before we rush to conclusions, we must first consider the possibility that perhaps these were simply just that. failsafes meant to ensure the safety of the Republic. It seems like they can only be activated by the Chancellor and the Senate. Therefore, let me put these worries to rest. So long as I remain Chancellor, I will not let any such orders be carried out.
This seems to help put the crowd at ease, as, from panicking, the Senate raises into applause, clapping their hands and shouting their support. But the Jedi are less satisfied, especially Anakin. This feels rather unsatisfying. Something continues to nag at him, telling him there isn't more to this. Seeing this, the Chancellor approaches Anakin personally to talk to him.
Anakin, I understand your concerns, but you must not let your emotions get the better of you. This is a delicate situation.
How are you not concerned, though?
Who says I'm not? This is a serious situation, I know. But in these moments, we must make sure we do not falter, lest everything we worked for go to waste. If we allow this fear to get the better of us, it may distract us from the Clone Wars.
I know, but my worry is what if the Clone Wars are distracting us from threats within?
Anakin, you can trust me. I can assure you that so long as I lead the Republic, this Order 66 will never pass.
Anakin pauses and narrows his eyes, looking at the Chancellor. There was something about the way he said it that sounded all too familiar. It sends a shiver down his spine as the Chancellor walks away. One thing is clear, this is far from over. As Anakin returns to the Jedi Temple, he finds it filled with activity, as while the Senate seems satisfied, the Jedi cannot let this threat go unheeded. But there are still so many unanswered questions. Why would Sifo-Dyas commission this and instill these command codes? Some had already questioned the Kaminoans and found no such information in the Kaminoan databanks, or on the planet itself. The only evidence they found was that ruined factory. To make matters worse, the factory had been shut down for investigation by the Republic, preventing the Jedi from accessing it. They must find their information, and Quinlan Vos comes up with an idea. Just as Anakin received his information from accessing one of the inhibitor chips, they can do the same, but he needs to find a first-generation chip. For this, Rex volunteers, and once that is done, it is taken before the Jedi Temple, where a group of Jedi Masters begin rituals to trace its origin. Anakin stands at the edge of the circle, his arms crossed tightly. Quinlan Vos steps forward, his hands moving in fluid gestures over the chip.
Just as Anakin connected with the chip through the Force, we'll do the same. But this time, we'll trace its creation, its origin.
The chamber falls silent as the Jedi close their eyes, their hands lifting slightly, palms open toward the chip. The Force hums in the room, growing stronger, a low vibration that Anakin feels in his bones. The chip begins to glow faintly, reacting to the combined presence of the Jedi. It rises from the ground and hovers in midair as they all tap into the residual energies. A vision begins to play in their minds, taking them to a laboratory not on Kamino. Instead, it is far away, on a distant planet. Metallic corridors stretch out before them, filled with the Techno-Union engineers. But they aren't alone. As some of the engineers walk, they are accompanied by another figure, one with milky white skin and a long neck, a Kaminoan scientist. Rows of clones in development float in growth chambers, their bodies still forming. Overhead, machines implant inhibitor chips into their developing brains. The Jedi sees a Kaminoan, Nala Se, speaking with Wat Tambor, the Techno-Union foreman, as a third figure, cloaked and hidden, hands data rods to Wat Tambor and Nala Se, gesturing toward a hologram of the Galactic Senate. The Jedi Masters snap out of the vision, their breathing heavy, the weight of the revelation sinking into the room like a lead weight.
The Kaminoans didn't act alone.
The Techno-Union. They helped design the chips. This wasn't just about cloning. It was about control.
Wat Tambor. We have him in custody. He knows something.
Speak with him, we must. But careful, we must be. Reveal too much, we cannot.
The sterile halls of the Republic Detention Center pulse with the hum of security systems as Anakin and Obi-Wan stand before Wat Tambor.
Ah, General Skywalker. I've been expecting you.
Then you know why we're here.
The inhibitor chips. My greatest creation. But before we begin, I must know, what do you have to offer me?
How about a nicer cell? Perhaps taking a few years off this prison sentence.
How about an immediate release and full control of the Techno-Union? Under Republic control, of course.
How about an exchange I don't cut you open and see how you look underneath that mask of yours?
Now, that temper will do you little good in this negotiation, especially as I know I am more valuable than you thought. Now, I suggest...
The wall to the right explodes inward, a violent blast sending debris and smoke billowing into the room. Anakin and Obi-Wan instinctively ignite their lightsabers as Wat Tambor gasps and crawls under the table. From the swirling smoke steps out Tasaj Ventress, her red lightsabers igniting. A sly smile tugs at the corner of her lips.
Kenobi, Skywalker, I would enjoy carving you up, but this doesn't concern you.
If you want this slime, then it does. Now, are you prepared to take us both alone?
Ventress lunges, her twin sabers slicing through the air. But as they prepare to meet her, a hail of blaster fire rains down from the hole, forcing them to defend. Suddenly, a group of bounty hunters approaches behind her.
Of course, it couldn't just be her.
Anakin blocks these shots just as Obi-Wan catches Ventress's first attack. He leaps up from a sweeping kick and leans back to avoid her slash. Meanwhile, Boba Fett rushes in, firing his blasters. Behind him, Bossk barrels in, forcing Anakin to slide out of the way and kick the table in front of himself and Wat Tambor. Dengar follows, wielding a massive heavy blaster that belches red bolts that turn the table into splinters. Anakin stands up and tries to block these attacks, just as Obi-Wan counters and forces Ventress to defend. He takes this chance to shove her against Bossk. This buys Anakin a moment's reprieve, as the cell doors open and Ahsoka flips in, kicking Boba back and slashing apart Dengar's blaster. Anakin hauls Wat Tambor out as Obi-Wan watches their flank, blocking lightsaber attacks and Ventress, who leaps after him, but he pushes those lightsabers aside. When they reach the hallway, they are stopped by C-21 Highsinger, his blasters firing at Ahsoka, though she expertly blocks these attacks. Before she can launch a counterstrike, she gasps and feels a whip wrapping around her arm and yanking her forward. Latz Razi chuckles and has the big droid rush in. Anakin takes over the defense, keeping Wat Tambor close as he slashes C-21's blasters. But the droid instead follows up with a vicious punch that Anakin ducks under. He tries his own punch, but hisses in pain as it hits his metallic form. While he's distracted, Dengar rushes in with a vibroblade and prepares to finish Wat Tambor off. But it is shoved aside by Anakin using the Force. But Lazi's whip suddenly wraps around his throat and pulls him back. At the last second, Ahsoka cuts it and kicks her across the face. Dengar joins in and tries to punch her. This at least keeps the two occupied as Bossk rushes in and grabs Anakin while he's down, throwing him against the ground with C-21 coming after. This leaves only Obi-Wan who duels with Ventress, their lightsabers flashing as she sweeps them in a wide arc, forcing the older Jedi to arc back and avoid it. He swings right back at her, but Ventress parries this and kicks him back. She follows through with a series of vicious attacks, while Boba comes up beside her and fires his blasters, adding to the chaos.
It's Wat Tambor you want, isn't it? Who hired you?
That's not for me to tell.
She sweeps her lightsabers from the opposite direction, managing to graze Obi-Wan's arm.
But will be your loss. He has information critical to the war.
Not my war anymore. Besides, what do I care about who wins?
No, I suppose you shouldn't. But this war made pawns of us all, and we deserve to know the truth, including you.
Ventress's lightsabers drop for a moment, allowing Boba to take over and rush at him. He tries to slam into him. Obi-Wan grabs him and then shoves him against the wall. He shouts for Ventress to help, but then hesitates and looks at him. Obi-Wan's words have more of an effect on her than she realizes. She stares down at her hands, thinking back to the war and her time in the CIS, and then recalls how she was used and tossed aside by the Clone Wars. She thinks of how many other people have been used that way.
We can end this war now, but you need to trust us.
The bounty is off.
What? You've got to be kidding me.
She looks around and sees none of them slowing down. They glance at her for a moment, but then get back to fighting. Sighing, Ventress looks over at Boba and raises her hand over him. The clone gasps and then collapses to the ground unconscious. With his hands free, Obi-Wan reaches for his communicator.
You better get out of here.
Ventress deactivates her lightsaber, and a few moments later, Rex and the rest of the 501st come running in. In moments, the bounty hunters find themselves surrounded and captured.
Start talking, Tambor. because next time, we might not be here to save you.
With Wat Tambor, they now have clear testimony on everything that happened. He comes with the revelation that it was not Sifo-Dyas who ordered the inhibitor chips, it was Count Dooku, which casts further doubt on their safety. Meanwhile, Ventress makes a surprise testimony, saying that her master, Dooku, was acting on the order of his own master, and that she was hired by someone to kill the foreman, someone who wished to prevent him from testifying. As the Jedi already knew about the Sith Lord in the Senate, it places immense pressure on the Senate, allowing the Peace faction to capitalize on the chaos and push for peace talks. They realize all of this could be orchestrated by Dooku, and continuing to fight the war could be disastrous. While they enter negotiations, they also begin to investigate a senator from the highest office to determine who the Sith Lord is. Seeing how precarious his position is, Palpatine decides it best to disappear, opting to bide his time instead of risking being discovered. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.